Hi, Ralph. Good to see you. Hope you're well.
Yes, thank you. And you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. First thing I wanted to start with really was Steve Bruce and the comments that he made about management. He said it'll probably be him done as a manager. It's not just about him. It's taken its toll on his whole family. That was with reference to some of the abuse that he's suffered. I just wonder whether you've experienced anything like that. What's kind of sympathy you have for a fellow manager who's come out with that kind of statement?
It was a very honest statement, I must say. I have never had such views, to be honest, in my entire managing career. I wouldn't know how I would react if it is like this. I think he made a lot of games. It's nice that he could make 1,000 Premier League games, I think. It's unbelievable for me. Unbelievable number, to be honest. A fantastic lad, I must say, a fantastic colleague, really a good guy. And I think he can be very proud of all he has done in his managerial career. And as I said, 1,000 games in the Premier League is something he can be proud of. Okay, well, maybe the ending was not the nicest one for him, but I think in the end he should look back to a very, very successful career as a manager.
I know that Mikel Arteta today has said that he's found ways to cope with abuse, but knows young people and players are put off coming into management because of it. I just wonder, Ralph, from your experience, is there enough support for managers who are facing, and players as well, who face this kind of abuse?
It's a tough question. I mean, we know that the media and the comments have changed a little bit because of social media. It's easier now to jump on somebody and to give negative comments like it was in the early stages. There was more the threat of the maybe print media or something like that you have to face. Meanwhile, you are facing comments from anonymous people all over. They can jump on you. Though this is definitely changed a lot. Finally, I must say every manager should know what he should look at. My family, my wife has a clear message that I want to read such things. I never get contact to social media stuff like this so far, and I keep on holding this high because it affects you definitely. It is then a situation where you use energy, and this is what I don't want. So I want to concentrate fully on my job. I want to do the job as best as I can, as all the other managers also. And you have to know if you let it to come to you or not. And finally, you try to avoid these impacts in your personality and in your way you want to work and you want to do your job.
And onto the football, you've spoken about wanting more from Nathan Redmond in the past. Is it just purely up to him now to show what we saw against Leeds week in, week out? And further to that, does the way he linked up with Armando make it a no-brainer to start Armando again this weekend?
Yeah, the players have the same pressure. I mean, everybody who goes on the pitch knows there's a lot to win and also a little bit to lose, because when you don't play a good game, then they criticize you. This is normal in this business. This is why these guys, get a lot of money for what they are doing, and there's a lot of pressure also. You never see this part of their life also, and it's not so easy for them to stand it. They are all young players still. We have a very young team here, and Reddy is one of the more experienced one, and even he is happy when he then plays a good game and can show a good reaction to some criticism everybody gets sometimes. Yes, I think the last game showed that the attack was definitely a little bit more dangerous for the opponent. We had some very good chances created. Reddy was one part of this attacking stuff, but also the other guys were doing a very good job here. And this is always a good argument for getting another chance to play together. And we will have a look what we do in the weekend.
And finally, for me, Ralph, it's easy to say, I suppose, in many ways, but what importance do you put on not only building on that win over Leeds, but also ensuring that a side that's third from bottom of the table is not allowed to close that gap on you this weekend?
For us, it was important to get the first win. We spoke about the important weeks that are coming up, that there are fixtures where you have to take points, and we know that against Burnley, all games have been very tough and very tight in the last years. We are facing here a team with a manager. I think it's the longest consecutive manager in the Premier League over 9 years now. I think he's manager of Burnley. So a very, very automized teams with very good habits, and finally always hard to beat.
Thanks, Ralph. All the best.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we'll go to Hugh at PLP.
Ralph, hi, nice to meet you. Just to pick up on something that Vinny was saying about Armando, how do you prioritise your game planning against the form of a player? So do you keep Armando because he scored, or do you pick somebody else because they might suit the opponents a little bit better? What's the priority for you?
Yeah, the best it would be when both fits very good together. So the form of the player and fitting to the game plan. But yes, especially form is always helpful for the attacking players, definitely. Armando, yeah, had a slow start here, but I think showed very quick that he has some weapons you can use. And because of the injury of Shea, he was immediately, it was the first chance for him to start. And I think he grabbed his chance with both hands. So let's have a look what we do in the weekend.
You spoke a lot before Leeds about not getting too down about not getting the first win. Burnley have been saying pretty much the same thing since the beginning of the season, that perhaps the results haven't matched the performances. On the flip side of that, how much is it important that you don't get carried away with the fact that you do have that win, especially if you look at your next 4 Premier League games, which I imagine most fans will think are winnable? Yeah,
I mean, it was important to get the first one, but this is definitely not an argument to lean back now. We have to keep on going. We have the chance for another home game. We know how important these games are for us. And yes, the next weeks we can definitely get a few points, what we need to have. And then we have, after a very difficult start against teams, we have lost also last season against them. We have taken 7 points, was I think okay. And now we are coming in the after the start in a very decisive time where you can show in what direction it should go, and therefore we have to be fully motivated and concentrated for this game.
And just finally for me, on the Burnley challenge, it's something that I think a lot of managers talk about when they come into the Premier League. Have you, either in Germany or in Austria, or indeed in your entire playing career, found a team like Burnley? Is that what makes the Premier League unique, the challenges that they pose you?
Yeah. In my opinion, it is getting more difficult every year. The teams are getting stronger. Every team is getting stronger, and winning in the Premier League gets more difficult every year. And so this is the challenge, definitely, but this makes it also so interesting for every manager here. The different challenges, Burnley, completely different way of playing, like Leeds or Arsenal or whatever. So it's very interesting. I can say that also the preparing for the games is always very interesting, because it's every time something new. You can always switch immediately, and it's also interesting for the players. Always do something new, and this is good.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Adam at Radio Solent.
Ralph, good afternoon. Just carrying on the Burnley theme, it seems to me in recent times the hardest games at home have been the ones against sides who don't necessarily want to play with your team 50-50 and actually sit quite deep and allow you to come onto them. So how much better has the team got to be to unlock a side like Burnley? They couldn't do it against Wolves. How much more creative have you got to be?
Yeah, I must say that I changed my opinion about Burnley in the past 2-3 years extremely. I thought in the beginning that it's a team that only kicks long and doesn't want to play football. I think if you let them play, they definitely can do it. They have a very good pressing. They've been very brave this season with high pressing also. And I must say that they also developed that game. And I think this is what you can see and what is necessary in the Premier League to also play a little bit more football by yourself. Otherwise, it is difficult. And they play in a very direct and forward-oriented way. And the goals they score are typical for them, and it's always good when you do that, what you can do in a perfect way. And this can be successful and is most of the time also successful. And that's the reason why we have to be very aware about their qualities. But we have also shown our qualities, especially in the last season where we beat them twice. It was the first time that we have won against them. And that doesn't mean that it is always now normally win, but we have shown that proven that we can do it against them. And this is the goal for the weekend.
Where does the last week leave Adam Armstrong, Ralph? I'm thinking back to when Shea Adams first joined Saints and he had 7 or 8 games, and then you took him out the firing line to rebuild him a bit, ready for the second half of the season. Is Adam Armstrong in a better position than that? And does he stay in your mind as an option every game at the moment? Does he need a confidence boost somewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% convinced about the player, and we know that a start in the Premier League season is always a tough one. He had a good start with the first goal immediately, and then had also a few good games, missing the second goal, what he could score again in a few games, I think. No, I'm sure that he will make a lot of games, and we must be careful. We have a lot of options up front. We have to look who gets the right decision in the right moments, and that he can score goals. He shows in every session, and I think it will also not taking long until he scores his second in the league.
And just finally from me, just looking slightly ahead, but about 2 players who haven't really seen any game time. First of all, Will Smallbone, I'm thinking ahead to Tuesday. Is he close enough to be considered for getting a return to action in the Cup at Chelsea? And Lianco as well, who probably could do with some minutes on the pitch.
Yeah, Lianco played against Sheffield one time, so it is also improving, I must say. And yes, the Cup games are definitely a good option for giving players a chance. The good thing is that we have 5 subs on Tuesday, so if they're not starting, then they are option from the bench. And this is what I was always preferring also for the Premier League. I would like to have 5 subs in the Premier League also. Makes it much more easy for us to give everybody enough game time, and hopefully it will come one day.
Sorry, just if I can just add one question. It's interesting you say that, because a lot of people think it's just the big clubs who want 5 subs because they've got the world-class players on the bench, but you want it as well.
Yeah, I think it is for the small clubs even more important, because we have to run more especially against the big clubs. And if you run more, then you need more subs, because then you can freshen up your attack after 60 minutes, or even if they are in the halftime. And this is especially for the smaller clubs, I think even more important, because especially when you get tired, you make mistakes, and then they have more chances to score.
Thank you, Ralph. Good luck Saturday.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Ian at PA.
Hi, Ralph. Just wanted to ask, obviously, Burnley are still looking for that first win of the season. You were in that position until last weekend. Can I ask when it's a long wait at the start of the season, how does pressure build? And is that something that you can sort of exploit, the pressure that might be on Burnley this weekend?
Yeah, I spoke last week before the game, what we have run also about, that pressure is always there. It's no matter if you have taken 3 wins or 4 wins. I don't feel that it is less pressure when you have no win. It's the belief is a little bit more there when you have a few wins taken. But ask Thomas Tuchel or Jürgen Klopp, they have massive wins every week, and they are also so every day under pressure, because when they don't win, they have different targets than we have. They have the targets to become the Premier League champion, so they have to win every weekend. Can you imagine what pressure this is? I mean, and this is what I say, every Premier League manager has his targets, and if you are facing these targets, then you know that you have taken points, and then you have to, then you feel the pressure always.
I don't know if people just want me to ask what the team news is, Ralph, as it wasn't asked in the previous section. Who's fit, who's not?
Yeah, you can ask. It is still Jack Stevens who is missing. Shea Adams is back in training, so available for the weekend. Yeah, I think that's it. There are no injuries there anymore. Otherwise, so I can pick definitely from a big squad.
And I missed the game against Leeds, but I'm keen to know what can Diallo offer that perhaps Oriol and James can't in midfield?
Yeah, he's a different player, I must say. He is definitely a very dynamic one. I wouldn't say more dynamic, but I think the end speed is good from him, and it gives you a few other opportunities in the midfield. He can drive the ball or carry the ball through the center quite well. And also against the ball, he's aggressive. He can win duels. A very good 6 for me, and I'm very happy for him that he has done a good job against Leeds immediately, coming back after a long time where he didn't play and show up like this. It's not normal, and I'm very happy and looking forward to another good performance on the weekend.
And with that kind of carrying the ball forward in mind, I think it'd probably be fair to say that Oriol and James, maybe they're not asked so much to do that, or it's not their biggest skills. Can that provide an alternative way when you're setting up the team that, you've got an extra player that can actually get forward with the ball, link up with the attack? It must be a good problem to have.
Yeah. It's not only on this position that we have this positive problem. We have on the fullback, Kyle Walker-Peters, who doesn't play, who was last year when he was injured, a big problem for us. This season we have with Roma and with Tino signed 2 very, very good players on this position. So I really like what they offer me. And we have to have these opportunities, because we have seen last season, especially in the second half, we were a little bit like Leeds on the last weekend with a very young squad on the bench, no alternatives to bring on and to freshen the game up. And this season it looks completely different. And this is what you need. And this was the conclusion we had after the last season and the change we have made.
Thank you, Ralph.
Okay, Tom Leach.
Thank you, Jordan. Good afternoon, Ralph. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Yeah, I can hear you.
Brilliant. How's Stuart Armstrong progressing with his injury? I know he played a little bit against Leeds and he was on the field afterwards doing some drills, but is he ready to start? Yeah, I noticed you didn't list him then to Dan in the list of injuries.
Yeah, he's further in his development now after the long time where he was out, and I think you could feel in the last game also that he had some good situations on the ball. Physically, he was also telling after the game it was tough for him. Premier League game has a so high tempo, and so it's so intense that you are, especially as a sub, really struggle sometimes when you come in physically also. And but he needs these moments, he needs these games, and I think he will get more game times in the next weeks, that's for sure.
You spoke then to Adam about 5 subs. How hard is it to balance the squad as a whole? I know you've spoken a little bit about this before, but I mean, I know you're better with the depth, as you just said, than not having it at all. But, professional footballers want to play every weekend and they want to play in their best positions. So that gives you a challenge, doesn't it? Especially people like Kyle. Kyle will want to play at right back, I presume, but it's just a little bit more challenging for him this season.
Yeah, it is challenging. The good thing is that you have a lot of games, so you need to make changes and subs and rotation if you want. But yes, all players have massive pressure from their families, their agents, from everybody. Yeah? When you are a Premier League player, you are in the window every weekend, and everybody's asking if you're not playing, why not? And but as it is in the big clubs, I don't want to say that we are a big club, but I think in clubs where you have a bigger side, you have always a duels. Duels. They haven't been here last season. I think last season was the message: if you are fit, you're playing. This season it is: if you're fit, you have to be better than the other one who is in front of you. And this definitely rises the quality of the players. And also when you see our sessions, they have a higher level this season. And they are. I like it. I like to work in a moment with this team very much because we have a very good mentality. I got a good atmosphere on the pitch. Everybody likes to work, and even if there is a player who is not feeling good on the day, he gets swapped away from the wave of everybody is working hard, and this is what I want to see.
Brilliant, good stuff. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Tom Crocker.
Hi, Ralph. I just want to ask you a little bit about Alex McCarthy. Obviously got his clean sheet last week, and he spoke to us last week about how frustrating it was sort of being in and out of the side towards the end of last season as a keeper. It's a bit of a strange situation. He sort of went away, looked at his games over the summer, feels he came back better in pre-season. How happy have you been with him? Because he seems to have nailed down that spot now at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think he had some very good games, and like all the players, not without any mistakes in some games, but I think the overall package was so far a better one than last season, and I think our whole defense is much better now. He had some outstanding games, like against Man City or also against Chelsea away. It was fantastic and kept us in the game for a long time. No, I think we are trying to develop him in every part of his game. And when you go this road with us, I think both goalkeepers, or all three goalkeepers, have made a good progress. You can see it and feel it in every session. And yeah, we need this. And because especially our defense work last season was definitely not good enough for the Premier League. And this season, it looks that it is a little bit more solid. We were working very hard on this part. We had now 3 clean sheets in 8 games. That's a good average so far. And when you keep on going like this, it's easier for us to win games.
And just up the other end of the pitch, I know you spoke a little bit about Adam Armstrong earlier. I mean, he scored so many goals in the Championship, and naturally when you lose Danny Ings, people are going to look and see him to replace him. I mean, did you expect a little bit more from him at this stage, or do you think it would take time to adjust to the top flight from where he was before?
No, I didn't expect more from him. Definitely not. I expect exactly what I have seen, that he's a player with potential, a player with some super skills that you definitely can use in every team. And I'm sure that he will be also in the future a very important player for our game.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Tom Barkley and Nick Zeps. Tom, when you're ready.
Hi, Ralph. There I am. Yeah, it was interesting hearing you speak about how you've changed your opinion about Burnley from what you sort of thought of them maybe the first time you came up against them to thinking they're a better team now. Do you think we're all a bit guilty of maybe slightly disrespecting Burnley for the qualities they have?
Yeah, this is always a danger, I think. When I have learned something in my managing career is that you never should be thinking it's simple what they play, or it's easy. You always see, especially when you are working the best league in the world and do it for such a long time, you have to have something very good. And I must say that the more detailed you look in their game, the more you are looking in what they're doing, the more you see the automatism and the clear skills. And this is always a sign of a manager who is knowing what he has to do. And I must say, the older you get, the more experience you get a wider view for things, and then you understand a few things a little bit better. When you are young, you sometimes only see your part of the game that's the only real, the only true, and everything else is not good enough. But the longer you are there, the more you accept also other ways of coming to a success. And I must say, everybody who is that long in the job and keeps a team that long with the limits they have as a club in the Premier League does a fantastic job, and this is what they do there.
Well, that was going to be sort of my follow-up was, as you mentioned, it's nearly a decade now for Sean Dyche, and you know what it's like to have to compete against these teams that have bigger budgets than Burnley. You know, their spending has been perhaps even lower than Southampton, or close to in the last few years. So where do you rank his managerial performance amongst Premier League managers in the last 5-6 years?
This is always the big question. We are a little bit flying under the radar with our clubs, but everybody of these guys does a fantastic job, I must say, because this is the toughest thing at all, to stay in the league against these top teams, to get always on the weekend a chance to take points against the big teams. But finally, knowing that there will be a lot of defeats also, that means a defeat is less arguments for the team. You step in front of them again and tell them, it's good what you do. We know what we have to do, and we keep on going. And it's quite a tough job sometimes. And when you do it that long in these areas of the table and keep them up there and work with them that long, and then you have to have something special. And it seems that he has this.
Just finally, whenever we've asked about Armando Broja in the past, obviously he got his chance at the weekend and scored his goal. You've sort of hinted that work rate perhaps is something that he needs to apply maybe every day. Maybe he does it not quite consistently enough. He obviously got his chance at the weekend, played very well, scored his goal. Do you feel like he's taken that message on board from you?
Yeah, I hope so. I must say that I like to work with these players, or this kind of players, very much. We have here, I call it the young table with Livramento, with Broch, with Nathan Teller and Will Smallborn. They are the talents here, and the really young lads, and it's amazing how quick they adapt and how quick they learn and how quick they develop. And it's good to have this, and this is a very we have a young squad, but I see the potential of every player, and this is a squad with a big future, I think, and this is what was the way we wanted to go. Okay, Broch is not our player so far, but I think I can also say that it doesn't make a difference for me when somebody's on loan here or a permanent signing. I think I want to develop every player who is here, and it's the best thing you can imagine as a manager when you see a Tino Livramento jumping in a game and playing immediately on the highest level, and Armando Broja coming in the first time from beginning and scores immediately a goal and shows a good performance. This is what lifts you definitely and makes you proud and is a good feedback for me, for my work, or for the work we do as a team with the staff and all the managers that work with them.
Thanks, Ralph. Best of luck.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, Ben Fisher.
Hi, Ralph. Just a quick one on El Yunusi. How would you kind of describe his sort of comeback to the team, if you like? Obviously, he went away and he's come back, and he was, I thought, really impressive on Saturday.
Yeah, one of the positive stories this season, definitely. I was very happy to get him back in the summer. I know that we had on the 10 a lot of viewers with a lot of players. We have 5 10s in my side so far. In our side, it is not so easy to get a position, a spot in the first 11, but I think he deserved to get there. He had only one bad week. It was before the Chelsea game where I replaced him then, and because he had a bad week in the training. And I'm very often looking to the actual performance, how somebody feels, and in some moments you can see his fantastic anticipation, his decision making is always surprising. And this is something special, and we really need this in our game, because that makes us a little bit more flexible in the attack. And he can either score goals or create good chances, run a lot, is disciplined, quick learner, he's a smart guy. Getting more and more serious is also important for this kind of players, I think. And overall a good baggage meanwhile, and a player who made his way back to the team, yes.
Yeah. Was there any doubt that he would or not stay at the club in the summer? Were you always confident and sort of obviously keen to work with him in that sense? Was there any doubt at all?
The plan was to bring him back and give him the whole preseason, but I didn't need the whole preseason. I saw immediately that he wants to work hard, he can run, he's putting a massive effort in every game. And this is what we need on this position. Tactical, very demanding position. And not everybody can play there. And you have to work against the ball very well, with the ball, find the right decisions, and in the best, and also score goals. So you need to do everything. And this is not easy to play in this position, but he does and has shown it from the first day that he can do this. And that's the reason why we wanted to go with him.
Yeah, and just lastly on him, by sort of more serious, do you mean more mature, Ralph, in that sense at all?
Yes, I think he can definitely score more goals. This is what I expect from him. And he is definitely a player who is in this shape now, a much better player than in the shape when I sent him away, what we played at that time. So it was definitely changing, also something in the club that made it a little bit easier for him to be now a valuable player for us.